It has been 26 years since we ever had an official Streets of Rage release. This year, 2020, marks the official Streets of Rage 4 game that fans of the old school genre have wanted for years now. Streets of Rage, if you didn't know already, is one of the most iconic side-scrolling beat-em-up games of the 90s, and even until today. Unlike most beat-em-up games at the time where they are originated from the arcades, such as Final Fight or Turtles in Time, the first Streets of Rage game started as a console exclusive for the Sega Genesis. The first game came out in 1991 and was received very well by gamers. The second game came out in 1992 and it was an instant classic of the genre. The third game came out in 1994 and it didn't receive as well as the first two, though I won't dive into that deeper. This year, the fourth game has finally been released and it received a lot of praise from gamers and critics alike. Some even considered the game to be quote-unquote a revival of the franchise. However, what if I tell you that Streets of Rage 4 is not the true revival of the franchise? Though, personally, I really like Streets of Rage 4 as a game, but I'm here to tell you that there is another Streets of Rage game, which sadly, not a lot of people know about it, that is way superior than Streets of Rage 4. I'm talking about the fan-made project by Bomber Games called Streets of Rage Remake. A quick history. Streets of Rage Remake was developed from 2003 to 2011 by a small studio in Spain called Bomber Link or Bomber Games. The game was finally perfected in 2011 and released for free as a fan-made project. However, 2 days after the launch title, Sega, the petty motherfuckers they are, decided to take it down because of IP infringement. Yeah, an IP that Sega for some reason didn't give a shit about back in the day and they're not doing anything with it. I'm not going to go into details about that in this video. What I am going to discuss though is why I think Streets of Rage Remake is the best game of the entire franchise, even though it's not an official release. Ever since Streets of Rage 4 came out, many people think that the game is the best of the entire series. Now, to an extent, I can understand why. However, I'm here to discuss why, in my opinion, Streets of Rage Remake is way better than Streets of Rage 4.
No, that's not an opinion, it's a fact.
So here are the 5 reasons why Streets of Rage Remake is better than Streets of Rage 4. Beat-em-ups in general have a very simplistic gameplay, I might say. You pick a character, you start a stage, you walk through the stage, you press limited buttons, mainly attack and jump, beat up enemies, fight the boss, and then complete the stage. Now of course, not all beat-em-up games are the same. Different games provide different features. In Streets of Rage 1, you have the ability to call police backup. In Streets of Rage 2, each characters have different special attacks. In Streets of Rage 3, characters have the ability to run, and you have the star system in which characters can perform different special moves depending on how many stars you've achieved in the game. In Streets of Rage Remake, well, you can do all of the above. You can call police backup, you can perform special attacks, you can improve special attacks depending on how many stars you've gained, and most importantly, your character can run. Outside of Cherry, try running using Streets of Rage 4 characters in that game. Well, Adam has this dash move, but it's not running. As I said in my Streets of Rage 4 and Remake gameplay, running is a very important ability, especially when you're fighting enemies that moves faster than you, and enemies that are very tank. Especially when it comes to fighting Barbon at Streets of Rage 4. Streets of Rage Remake also allows you to have original weapons in the game, such as guns, machine guns, a bazooka, and even a fucking lightsaber.
Father's lightsaber. This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. Not as clumsy or random as a blaster. An elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
Oh, you can also decapitate enemies in this game. Well, because violence is fun, man. This game also has a bike stage, which was originally meant for Streets of Rage 3, and also a jet ski stage, which is completely original to this game. Some may like or dislike it, but this is again something that Streets of Rage 4 doesn't have. So once again, it's a plus for the remake. Streets of Rage 4 may have a better combo system than Streets of Rage Remake, and I understand they want to emulate Streets of Rage 2, which is considered to be the best game of the entire trilogy. That's probably why they didn't have running ability for Streets of Rage 4. However, with multiple features added to Remake as opposed to 4, Streets of Rage Remake actually gives the game more variety, thus increases its replay value. Though I'm not taking away anything from Streets of Rage 4, but Remake just takes the cake when it comes to adding more variety in the gameplay. As previously mentioned, beat-em-up games are somewhat simplistic. You pick a character, you start the stage, you walk through the stage, you press limited buttons, mainly attack and jump, beat up enemies, fight the boss, and then complete the stage. Move on to the next stage and do it all over again. This formula is repeated for 4 Streets of Rage games. You started at the first stage, progress the game all the way until the final stage. All of the 4 games let you start at the same stage and then ends at the same stage. Take Streets of Rage 4 for example. You start the game on the streets, right? And then end the game on Y Island. No matter how many times you play it, you'll start and end at the same stages over and over and over again. However, this is not the case in Streets of Rage Remake. In this game, you can actually pick a starting point. There are 4 different first stages in this game. You can pick the first stage from Streets of Rage 1, you can pick the first stage of Streets of Rage 2, you can pick the second stage of Streets of Rage 3 acting as the first stage of this game, and you can pick an original first stage of Streets of Rage Remake. As you progress through the game, you can choose different routes that you want to go with. Here's a diagram I cheaply created for the video's sake that sums up the routes of Streets of Rage Remake. Red highlights the Streets of Rage 1 stages. Yellow highlights the Streets of Rage 2 stages. Blue highlights Streets of Rage 3 stages. And green highlights original stages created for this game. As you can see, Streets of Rage 3 stages are not in the same order as they are from the original game. The stages for Streets of Rage 3 are mixing it out with the original stages for Streets of Rage Remake. Let's say you want to start the game in the first stage of Streets of Rage 1. While you progress, you can end up in the final stage of either Streets of Rage 1 or 2. Or let's say you want to start the game in the first stage of Streets of Rage 2. Based on the path provided in the game, you can end up with all 3 different endings. This feature is not available in Streets of Rage 4. No matter how many times you play the game, you will start at the same stage and end at the same stage. With branching path storyline, Streets of Rage Remake shows you why even a fan-made game with very little amount of budget can even outdo an official game with a higher budget. As you guys know by now, this game is a remake of the original Streets of Rage trilogy 1, 2, and 3. By default, you'll play as the 6 characters from all 3 original games, such as Axel, Blaze, Adam, Max, Skate, and Zan. When you start the game, mainly you play as the Streets of Rage 3 version of each characters, excluding Adam and Max of course because they did not appear in Streets of Rage 3. As you progress, you can unlock Streets of Rage 1 and 2 versions of Axel, Blaze, and Skate via the shop. You can unlock more characters from the shop as well. In this game, you can actually play as Mr. X, the main bad guy of the original Streets of Rage games. Now let me ask this, what other game that lets you play as Mr. X? I'll tell you, it's not 4. The game also enables you to unlock characters such as Shiva, Ash, Rue, L, and a completely original character, Rudra. This game also allows you to play Streets of Rage 2 version of Shiva. You can't play this version of Shiva in 4 now, can you? In total, you can play as 18 different characters in this game, and I'm including different versions of the same characters as well. compared to Streets of Rage 4 that is, in which that game has a total roster of 17 characters. 18 different characters with each of their own uniqueness. Not only that, Bomber Games actually went all the way to redesign character sprites from Streets of Rage 1 and 2 so that it will look and play consistent with Streets of Rage 3. Talk about effort, right? Let's take Adam for example. He only appeared in Streets of Rage 1. In the original game, Adam only has two types of attacks. He can do normal attack and he can summon police backup. In this game, however, Adam has the ability to run, dash attack, super attack, and improved super attack based on stars, something that wasn't present in his original game. Another improvement to the character design by Bomber Games is Zan. In Streets of Rage 3, Zan cannot use any weapons. Well, to be precise, he cannot wield weapons. But he will turn his weapon into an orb and then use it like a bowling ball. In this game, however, Zan can actually wield weapons. Certain characters in this game do not have police backups. Instead, they are replaced with special attacks that wipes the entire enemies on screen. Rudra has a fire style jutsu, L has an electric shockwave, Shiva has a speed booster, and Ash, well, he has this. So, Bomber Games actually took the time and effort to redesign characters from Streets of Rage 1 and 2 to make the overall gameplay consistent to mechanics of Streets of Rage 3. Unlike .emu that is, in Streets of Rage 4, who copies whatever design and gameplay the characters have from the original trilogy and then pastes it in the game. Now to be fair, I understand why they did that. It's a retro approach, yes, I know that. However, Bomber Games did the job way better than .emu by taking the time and effort to redesign characters from the old games. And like I said, Bomber Games way deserved more credit. Tell me, what customization options that are available in Streets of Rage 4? Yeah, I'm waiting. If your answer is customize the controller input, well, that's the only thing exists in Streets of Rage 4 as far as customization goes. Okay, in all seriousness, Streets of Rage Remake has tons of customization options. For start, you can customize the color of your playable characters. You can customize the names of the enemies. You can't do that in Streets of Rage 4 now, can you? This game has the option to have a CPU as a friend to play in case, you know, you're extremely lonely to play alone. You have the option to customize the CPU's behavior as well, ranging from balanced to stupid. Usually when I play this feature, I often use balance because why the fuck not? The shop mode of this game contains variety of unique cheat codes that you can unlock using in-game currency. You can have players pick the same characters, you can fight two bosses at once, you can have infinite ammos, you can keep weapons during stage transition, and my favorite one, you can turn swords into lightsabers. And many other variety options for you to choose from that once again enhance the replay value for this game. Some may think this is insignificant to have customization in the game, but it's still an option that players can choose. If a game created more choices for the players to enhance their gaming experience, then that's an automatic plus value compared to a game that doesn't give that choice. So once again, Bomber Games gave more effort to enhance the experience for the players. There is a unique mode that is exclusive to this game alone. It's called Create a SOR Game. Now, what other Streets of Rage game allows you to do this? Now, to be fair though, I rarely use this option because, quite frankly, I enjoyed playing this game for what it is. However, this option basically allows you to mod your own Streets of Rage games. I won't go into detail on the specific features, but I am giving you examples of how other people managed to create their own Streets of Rage mod games using this feature. I suggest you check them out. Links are in the description below. I've talked a lot of shit about Streets of Rage 4 in this video, quite frankly. Now, to give credit where credit is due though, I don't hate Streets of Rage 4. I even went on record to say Streets of Rage 4 is my 2020 game of the year, and I appreciate what they did in the game. However, I do believe that Streets of Rage 4 pales in comparison to Streets of Rage Remake. With all the features that Streets of Rage Remake have over Streets of Rage 4, I consider the game as the best Streets of Rage game ever made. I even go as far as saying the game is the best beat 'em up game of all time. Bomber Games really deserved more recognition for this game. It pains me, and it's kind of sad for me, that not a lot of people know about this game. It's also sad that .emu, the developers of Streets of Rage 4, gets all the credit while Bomber Games did not. I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but Bomber Games did more in this game than .emu did for Streets of Rage 4, and that is why, at the end of the day, I will always love Streets of Rage Remake more than Streets of Rage 4. This is just one man's opinion of a certain game. As I always said, people can enjoy whatever games they want. People can dislike whatever games they want. If you think Streets of Rage Remake is a better game than Streets of Rage 4, that's awesome. If you think otherwise, Streets of Rage 4 is a better game than Streets of Rage Remake, that's cool too. This video was made to bring awareness to a very good fan-made project that I highly recommend all of you lovely people to play. With that being said, this is me, Profar. Let me know your thoughts on the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, give me a like, dislike it if you dislike it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay awesome, everyone.